Welcome back. I'm Rob Lester. I'm your guide for the Living Faith by the Letter video series, where we take a letter of the alphabet each week and try to use it to guide our minds towards study and understanding the Bible and God more clearly and learning to live our faith. These can take lots of different areas, and what we're going to look at today with the letter E is the word evidence, specifically Christian evidences. Christian evidences is an area of study of the evidence supporting the truth and accuracy of the Bible. And it can involve things like the arguments for the existence of God, the manuscript evidence and history of the Bible and the Old Testament, the New Testament, and archaeological evidence supporting that. Lots of different areas, lots of very deep areas of study. And actually, I've had some in the church. I actually had an elder in the church many years ago. I was teaching a class or maybe a short series on Christian evidences, and he came up and he told me, he said, I don't know why you bother teaching this stuff. He said, we don't need it. That's what faith is. You either believe it or you don't. And I kindly and respectfully disagreed with him, as I still do today, because I can speak from personal experience that the area of evidences is something that was very pivotal, crucial in my conversion. It all began for me with this book right here. This is by Josh McDowell, The New Evidence That Demands a Verdict. This is editions 1 and 2. It's a sort of a compilation of many revisions of this book that have gone over through the years. This is somewhere around 95 or 2000, I think, updated, but it's still being revised. This book was vitally important for me in my conversion because I came to Christianity pretty much a clean slate. Vague belief in God, read the Bible a little tiny bit, just knew pop culture references and things regarding it. So I started reading the Bible, and really the question for me was, why should I believe this? Why should I believe this book is true? Why should I believe it's different from any other book written by men? Uh, why should I believe that it was written by God and is supernatural? The book for me, Josh McDowell's book, opened my eyes into so many ways, and I began to see the mountain of evidence, the overwhelming mountain of evidence that was pointing toward the fact that this is a different book, that it is from God, that it was verified by miracles, that it is historically accurate, that it's not full of contradictions, that it's not something that was just created by a group of first century shepherds trying to make a religion for themselves. And it was something that was very important for me, and as a result, I dove into that very very heavily, that topic of Christian evidences. You can see behind me my bookshelves here. These over here, these top three shelves are Bibles, different versions of the Bible, and books about translations and things like that. This shelf right here, these three or four probably shelves are all but Christian evidences. So yes, I'm a little obsessed with it, but it's been so important for me. And I remember some years ago I was studying with a group of Mormons. I've actually studied with them a couple of times, but this one time was a long study, probably 6 or 7 months. And I studied with them and got to the end of the study, and they said, "Well, do you believe that the Book of Mormon was from God?" And I said, "I can't agree to that statement." And I said, "And I'll tell you why." I said, "I believe the Bible for several important reasons because it meets certain criteria." I said, I believe the Bible is from God because of things like predictive prophecy. There's predictive prophecy that are fulfilled, that man would have no way to fabricate and fake it. There's archaeological evidence. There is a wealth of archaeological evidence that supports that the things in the Bible were accurate, were truthful, they really happened. The people that are named there really existed, and that verifies the names of places and the timings and the rulers of certain areas. It all adds up. There's no contradiction. There's internal unity and consistency. It never contradicts itself. It doesn't ever say something that's later disproven to be true, or it doesn't contradict itself in any way. And there is also just historical verification of human history and events that happened, and they seem to, they all line up. Non-biblical sources, sort of hostile witnesses against the Bible, also verify that it's true. Even they'll admit it grudgingly, but they say, well, that's true. Sort of like the people, the Jesus's opponents, when they couldn't deny the miracles he was doing, they just tried to discredit the source and say, well, he's healing people, he's raising people from the dead, but he's doing it with the power of Satan. So they were trying to discredit the source, not the effects. And I said, I just don't find that level of truth, to be similar with the Book of Mormon. Um, but the topic of Christian evidence is one that is important. It can deepen your faith. It can strengthen it, and I think we need to be able to have a bit of a handle on this, because the Bible tells us, 1 Peter 3:15, we need to be able to make a defense, an apology. The word literally is an explanation for the faith that lies within us when people ask. And maybe that part of when people ask is very important, because they do ask. This isn't just about winning debates or making people look stupid on social media, but we need to understand what the topic that we're talking about, to be able to give them a good answer. I just had an example of this today. I was looking through Facebook memories. That's one of the great things I still enjoy about Facebook, is the memories, to look and see things in the past, and people that maybe aren't around anymore. I see posts from them, and it's kind of bittersweet. But there was this morning a post that there was a discussion that had begun about the angel of the Lord, and had a little back and forth in some of the comments with a woman who's a friend of mine, an actual classmate of mine from high school, and she's a bit of an agnostic. And when we got down to the bottom of the study, I was glancing through the comments, and she said, "Wow, I never really thought about the way you explained that. That's very interesting. I'll have to look into that." That's what apologetics and Christian evidences can do. Can pique people's interest. Um, the Josh McDowell book was really the great keystone for me, but many others. The Batchel Barrett Baxter, I believe, because he's a member of the church. Um, Great information there. Apologetic Press is designed with this in mind, this whole topic, a series called The Anvil Rings. These are alleged Bible contradictions. When people say, oh, the Bible contradicts itself, it calls this guy by this name, and then later it calls him by another name. Or it says, well, Jesus says that there was two people at the tomb that saw the empty tomb, and the other gospel says there was only one person there, or Mary, and there was one angel, there was two angels, and all these alleged contradictions. This book does a great job of explaining those in a very brief way, like 3 or 4 pages, give you very good, succinct answers. Also, Answers in Genesis is another great website. Deals a lot more with origins, creation, the creation of God, really arguing against evolution, some of those things, but a lot of good Christian evidences, like, where did Cain get his wife? Questions like that. They have a series of 3 books. There are 2 books in the Anvil Ring series by Kyle Butt, or Eric Lyons, I'm sorry, who wrote those. The Answers series does the same thing, answers very briefly a lot of common questions about creation, evolution, the truth of the Bible. There's 3 of these in this series, by Ken Ham, general editor there. Um, Lee Strobel, The Case for Christ. He was an atheist who was determined to disprove Christianity, and he went to ask the best, brightest minds regarding apologetics and Christian evidences to get their best arguments, and the arguments convinced him that what they were saying was true. So The Case for Christ is a whole series, 5 or 6 books in that. They're all great. This is the first one, Case for Christ, Case for Faith, Case for Creator. Uh, Another one that I'll end with here in this series is, this one is by Brad Harrop. This is Convicted. This one is a scientist examines the evidences for Christianity, and Brad takes a very broad approach. He does talk about the existence of God, some of the biblical manuscript type of evidence. He deals a lot with the science, with the science of creation versus evolution. It's sort of his area of expertise. He is a PhD doctor, in so he studied this stuff. It's very good. It was, I think, I don't know if it's geared toward teens or young adults, but it really shines in that area as a way to hand it to them to be able to defend their faith. Uh, but we need to be able to do this, and it's something that can really bolster your faith. It can help us to. There's never been a discovery that has been made that has diminished my faith in any way. It only grows. Everything that is found just seems to verify the Bible more and more. People say, well, if you pin all your faith on these evidences, what if they find something that overturns it? Well, they haven't done it yet. In about 2,000 years, we're still waiting for that that controversial evidence to prove it wrong. It hasn't happened, and I don't believe it's going to happen. There's always a way to harmonize any alleged contradiction, any challenge that is brought to the Bible. There's always a way to reconcile. Uh, It may not be perfect, but at least it provides a plausible explanation. And when you take it on the whole, as a whole package, it there's no way around it. For me, that's what it came to, a point where the mountain of evidence was so overwhelming that it took more faith for me to continue in disbelief than it would be to just accept God for who and what he was saying. So evidences is a letter for today. Look into Christian evidences. Look into those websites, Apologetics Press, Focus Press, where Brad Harrod has started his own, done his own thing with Think Magazine. Answers in Genesis. Just look into these things and see if they won't strengthen your faith and just make you believe the Bible even more and learn things. Maybe some questions you've always had. Where did Cain get his wife? How did this occurrence happen in the Bible? I'm confused about it. And it'll clear some of those areas up, and it will strengthen your faith. And it will also give you a basis to be able to talk to others about it when they bring it up, when they can say, when you're challenged, and hopefully it will be a way that will bring honor to God and glory, and will pique their interest and cause them to seek out God. That's what it's really about. It can be a springboard for evangelism and for sharing the good news with others, which is what we should be doing anyway. So strengthen your own faith, be better equipped to help guide others to that truth as well. And I hope this has been a blessing to you. Have a great day.